Hello, I'm Kiya, and this is my new channel, Earth to Kiya. So welcome, I'm so happy you found me. As the title of this video says, I will be discussing 4 key takeaways that I learned and gleaned in 2024. So let's get started. Number 1, the first key takeaway I took from this past year was to prioritize my emotional well-being. That meant to me setting healthy boundaries with my family, my work, friendships, and acquaintances as well. Basically, organizing people and also how I spend my time and my energy, being very intentional with that. A sort of accounting, if you may. Setting healthy boundaries really helped me to protect and safeguard my peace. As opposed to previous years without boundaries, I felt a lot of anxiety a lot of the time when it came to uncertainty or, waiting for a specific outcome. Because to be honest, I know people say lower your expectations so you don't get hurt, but I just don't think it's fun living that way for me. I like to have high expectations. So the antidote for that would be to regulate my emotions, right? And just put some boundaries with the people that I let in my life. I do want to live a joyful life. I want to live a happy life, an honest life. And I don't want to have situations and people dim my shine or my light because I just love loving life. So the antidote to protect myself, a high expectation girl, would be to create boundaries and checks and balances for people and for situations and time, how I spend my time. Another thing that healthy boundaries helped me do was really preserve and manage my energy. Nobody tells you that emotional energy is energy. I know no one told me that, but once I started to kind of measure and gauge how much of my emotions I invested into any one thing, one place, or one situation, I realized that at the end of the day, I had a lot of energy, more mental space and clarity and stamina to do my personal projects, take care of myself, even to problem solve. I set healthy boundaries regarding my family, my work, my friends, and even acquaintances. There were many months and specific days I remember that before I even left the house, what I would continue to repeat and replay in my mind is hold the line, do not bend. As someone who, for the majority of my life, I was a people pleaser, holding the line was something that I had to instill and develop because in the past, people could maybe coerce me or kind of push the line and I would just let them slide. But this year, I learned to hold that line. And if somebody crosses it, they should feel a response from me that they've crossed it, that they're pushing, and I won't have it, not this year. So if you hold your boundary and hold your line one day and then you switch the next day or you do it one week and you go back, it takes away credibility from your conviction, first to yourself and then also to other people. I think why this was so pivotal and successful for me this year was that I was consistent with it. It was a little unnatural to me at first, but once I did it 3, 4, 5 times, the momentum started to build and I felt, yeah, I'm somebody who holds the line and yeah, don't cross it or else. Of course, my or else is like on the lower scale, but whatever, they don't know. It's just it's a threat. And that's how you gain the respect. Right? It's not really doing the act or enforcing your power, but having that strength that it wards off predators and people who would try to test you. Peace through strength. So when I started to implement firm boundaries, unbending, unshaking, people realized it. They would say, oh, you seem different. You are not as happy or go lucky as you were before. Point blank, I would say, yes, you're right. I have changed. I just protect my energy more. You don't have to explain to people, but if you had a long relationship and you just want to not have them take it personally in this situation, I said, yeah, I just been practicing to conserve my energy. These are long days. You know, I'm getting older as well. When I was 22, 23, I had all the energy in the world, but now I learned that this way is better for me. The way of a more toned down and kind of managing and giving my emotional energy in increments as opposed to a steady stream is better and better serves me. And yeah, they just accept it. They gotta accept it. It's my life. It's your life. The second key takeaway from this year, 2024, I learned to prioritize my hobbies and my passions. That meant dedicating time to activities that made me happy, made me relaxed outside of work. And this was key, another key to combat anxiety and really regulate my emotions. Because I focused on my hobbies, then I was able to fill in the gap time between my expectations. Because I don't know, if I ever became a person who lives without expectations, that would not be me. I would be a shell of myself, and I am not ready to let that part of myself die. I don't think I will ever do that. So, as someone with high expectations, high hopes, focusing on my passions and my hobbies were a good way to kind of balance and create an equilibrium between hope and reality. A few of my hobbies were coloring. I remembered when I was a child, I loved coloring books. I loved having like those 50 set crayons, 100 set crayons. And when I color, I just focus on one thing and I am really present and my mind cannot wander. So I love coloring. It's one of my top hobbies. Another hobby and passion was having mini fashion shows. I love creating my own unique outfits and ensembles with pieces of clothing that I already have, and maybe I bring in another piece and then we see how they all coincide and create a harmony together. So I loved having mini fashion shows at home. Easily 2 hours I can pass doing that. I also enjoyed driving. I also enjoyed spontaneously going out and discovering cafes. You know, Korea has a lot of beautiful cafes and they're often hidden in places you least expect it. So having a car was a really good way for me to explore the city, find new restaurants as well, and just see the bigger world around me, Earth, right? So all of these hobbies and passions and creative outlets really helped me to bring a balance to my thoughts and my emotional life. And that balance led to harmony, and that harmony inspired growth and progress towards and in my goals, my personal goals this year. The third key takeaway from this year, 2024, and probably the most important, the biggest game changer, was rebranding selfishness. So as a former people pleaser, I was taught and even learned through osmosis that being selfish was one of the worst titles you could have as a young girl. You know, girls are usually raised and brought up in the culture to be obedient and kind and nice and understanding. So selfishness, my body naturally felt a deep resistance to selfishness and a more inclination to selflessness. After rebranding selfishness in my life and what it means to me, I learned that my initial understanding of selfishness was very basic, elementary, and incomplete at best. Because when I practiced healthy selfishness this year with the right motives, heart posture, and nuance in every situation, I discovered that selfishness was an accelerant really for my personal growth, and it really helped me to refine and polish my relationships. When I made the decision to be selfish this year, I actually prayed. I asked God, I'm a Christian. I asked God, oh God, just this 1 year, can I please be selfish? Just this 1 year, can I live it for me? Just 365 days. If it's only 1 year in my whole life, can it be this year? I got the green light. And what started off as a social experiment has now become a guiding principle in my decision making. Selfishness saves lives. Selfishness protects you. Really, there are really precious women and precious people out there with really pure hearts. And the only protection sometimes for your emotions is selfishness? So I encourage you to explore that. And let me know in the comments down below if you struggle with being selfish, if you have a warped view of that, and if you want to adopt a healthy selfishness in the new year. Now, why I said that this point, selfishness, was the most important factor and takeaway this year for me was because selfishness helped me to foster a deep sense of self-respect and helped me get a lot of respect from others. So you could say that three big words for me this year were selfishness, respect, and no. In 2024, my healthy selfishness consisted of a lot more no's and no thank yous than before, whenever something didn't align with my goals, my needs, or my values. This really protected my time and my energy, and I never, ever, 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 not even once, regretted putting myself first this year. In no situation. I always won when I put myself first. Compared to previous years, this year I had little to no feelings of resentment or pressure from the expectations of others. By respecting my own boundaries, I was able to, in many ways, command respect from others. This helped clarify expectations in my relationships with family, friends, coworkers, even acquaintances, because there was more mutual understanding and trust. The fourth and final key takeaway from this year for me was relationship wealth. I learned through crises and unexpected situations that I was rich, but not in the terms of money per se, but in the terms of relationships and high quality relationships, people I could depend and rely on. There were times when I had money, but it was the wrong time of day, and I didn't need money. I needed somebody's physical help. I needed somebody to be there to answer the call. And in those situations, I realized that being rich is not just or even simply money, because money you can get anytime, but the advice, the wisdom, the connections, the reach of people, good quality people, trustworthy people, is so far and vast that can oftentimes solve your problems, even help you find solutions you had no idea existed. That money could buy, but if you don't know about it, then you can't solve your problems, right? So I found that the wealth of knowledge and wisdom in good people far exceeds money. I learned that this year. Quality over quantity. I focused on building quality, deep and meaningful relationships with people rather than just spreading out, networking, and connecting with as many people as possible. Communication was also key in developing these high quality, I would say high value friendships. Communication, being clear, open, honest, willing to be humble, willing to go first. I mean, people who are high quality, they usually are able to put down their ego. So that's a good marker and good distinguisher, whether or not someone can put down their ego and say sorry. Every year, people are gonna cross you. And people crossed me, they tried to, but I had my boundaries this year. People tried to cross me this year. And in that sense, I also had to forgive and let go of people who did me wrong, people who disrespected me. When I tell you this year, I did not take any disrespect, not at all, especially given the person that I am. I never give disrespect. I had 0.0 minus 0 capacity for disrespect this year. So I had to also exercise forgiveness and letting go of resentment this year, because I learned that weighs you down and prevent you from doing what you're supposed to do and what will ultimately drive your life forward. Learning to forgive and forgive yourself is so important. Learning to forgive yourself and forgive others leads to a personal freedom and a lot of peace in your life. And I think that's what we need going into a new year, right? To be honest, I am a professional at forgiving myself. If you guys ever want to hear a video that just encourages you on reasons why you should forgive yourself, a little bit of a pep talk, let me know down below. I am good at pep talks. I pep talk myself, I forgive myself, I only have myself, my one life. So I'm good at forgiving myself. So I can help you with that. I hope so. When it comes to forgiving others, just this past week and even today, I found myself remembering people who had disrespected me, unintentionally or intentionally offended me this year. And it's the end of the year, and I just felt like, oh, I should release them. I found myself thinking, you know what? I can be generous and forgive them. Of course, I did it like 3 times. I'm forgiving, it's a process. But I just feel so good to be able to say that. Whereas 4 months ago, 5 months ago, I had a different stance where I'm not going to forgive them. But now I can at least say it and say it with a smile and with a true intent to forgive. Eventually. And why I feel like I can afford to forgive people this year who have done me wrong is because I felt that I had a great year of personal growth, the growth in my confidence, and that I feel just so rich and abundant inside that I can afford it. It is within my means to forgive this person. I have enough. I have enough security and stability and just peace that I can, let go. I hope you found value in my key takeaways and lessons from 2024. My wish and hope for you is that you would let go of any baggage or burdens you've been carrying this year so that you can step into 2025 much freer and much lighter. This has been Kiya from Earth to Kiya. Welcome to my world.